January 23rd, 2020, China takes a historic step to lock down an entire city in an unprecedented battle against a virus that threatens the world.
12月27号，我记得不明原因的肺炎，
实际上是很早的时候我们就感觉到它比较刺激。
This one, it was unusual. There was something that most people said, we think this is going to get bigger.
I'm Joel Lambert, and as a military man myself, I know a little about danger. But fighting an invisible virus, that's a whole nother level.
The Chinese authorities have taken some pretty drastic action.
Public transport has been suspended or limited in 2 cities in Hubei province.
With more than 9 million people still living in Wuhan City, this is the biggest lockdown in human history. Viruses are a devilish enemy. This is the story of people battling a new one. The lockdown is only the beginning. How to stop the virus from spreading. How to feed and supply a city in quarantine. How to isolate the hundreds falling ill each day. And the doctors and scientists on the front line racing to defeat the new virus. How can they learn the tricks and traps of this new enemy and so defeat it? It's January 2020. Around the world, people are welcoming in a new decade. In China, everyone is getting ready for the biggest holiday of the year, Chinese New Year. But in central China, a mysterious shadow is hanging over the city of Wuhan. Wuhan is a busy, bustling city, astride the famous Yangtze River, a transport hub, a business center, trading with all China and the world. In the northeast of the city is a hospital specializing in infectious diseases. In charge is Yang Dingyu, a doctor with more than 20 years of experience. His team is used to treating patients with infectious diseases like HIV and the flu. But now they're seeing something new.
19年12月27日的晚上。当时呢，接到了同济医院的一个电话，说是有一个病人需要转诊到我们医院。
They tested the patients for every known virus. All came back negative.
听到这个消息以后呢，实际上是我们就有一个警惕。
Soon, more patients began to arrive, all showing similar unusual symptoms.
感染肺炎的症状比较多，而不是普通的流感。病人有气喘，有胸闷，接不上气，有的病人有发烧。
On Dr. Zheng's team is Xie Jian, a veteran of the SARS outbreak of 2003. He's concerned by how infectious the patients seem to be.
这一次疫情非常严重，武汉的有大批的病人感染，包括一些危重病人死亡。这次的疫情也是我从19年来第一次碰到。
我们也是在不停的在收治一些转诊来的一些病人，所以当时已经有10几个病人了。我们把它就是放在我们的负压病房里面，以及我们其他的一些 ICU 病房里面进行隔离，一起在做这个治疗。
At the headquarters of the World Health Organization in Geneva, Dr. Margaret Harris and her colleagues received notification from China of this new outbreak.
I was with a colleague who was on call, and he said, we've got something. There's something in China, cluster of around 30 cases. We deal with outbreaks every day. It looked like something that could be a lot bigger.
For Dr. Zheng's team, the important thing is to understand the mystery virus that is causing this new illness, so they have a chance of heading off an epidemic. They take samples from 4 patients' lungs and send them to Beijing.
But when it's a new disease, what you're concerned about is what is its real potential. Will this disease cause an outbreak and then disappear like Ebola does periodically or like SARS did?
This is the Chinese CDC in Beijing. Inside the National Institute for Viral Disease Control and Prevention, a group of top virus hunters are on the move. Tan Wenjia is head of the Emergency Technology Center.
病毒性感染，比如说一个案件的发生的话，那具体的作案的人和作案工具是什么呢？我们就需要像法医一样进行现场的一个采样。我们把样本采了以后，我们在这个实验室呢就做相关的一个分析。
Tan's team get to work on the 4 samples from Dr. Zheng's hospital in Wuhan. 18 scientists work round the clock to chase down the virus responsible.
You want to find out as soon as possible everything. And if you've really found the essence, like what the virus is, how it's transmitted, you've got a much better chance of containing it and stopping it.
Within 24 hours, Tan's team have identified a new virus in the samples and decoded its entire genome.
我们在第一时间确定了它的病毒基因组，然后发现它是一个新的可能的一个嫌疑人。
But on the ground in Wuhan, cases are multiplying.
每天都会有3个、5个、10个、8个这么来转诊过来，我们就感觉到它比较吃紧。
Whenever there's a new virus like COVID-19, there's no immunity in the general population because people have never been exposed to this before.
For the moment, their best weapon is isolation. And the pressure on the medical teams is mounting.
人员不足，工作强度大，经常是一晚上要收20-30个病人，从晚上6点钟开始收病人，一直要收到第二天凌晨5点、6点，这常有的事儿。
Back in Beijing, the virus hunters make an important discovery.
在电镜下分离的这个病毒，这个病毒呢就相当于这个活生生的作案人的凶器一样。然后呢，我们把这个作案人的指纹图谱和凶器结合起来，我们提供了一个有力的证据，引起这次疫情的这个病源是什么。
Dr. Tan's team publishes the new coronavirus genome and their new findings.
We shared that information quickly with WHO. Then we shared the virus sequencing. That make other country can understand the virus and also could, based on that information, develop diagnostic kits.
The speed with which it was identified is unprecedented. I have not seen in a previous outbreak going from reports of a few cases to knowing what the causative organism is in a couple of weeks.
In China and around the world, virologists get to work on understanding this new virus and creating a vaccine or cure. January is usually a carefree month in China as families prepare for the most important festival of the year, the Chinese New Year holiday. It's also the world's biggest annual migration as millions crisscross China to visit relatives. Others return home from abroad or go on holiday. It's a perfect opportunity for a virus to spread incognito.
Initially, it's not recognized that this is a new infection, and especially the coronavirus, which causes signs and symptoms of a common cold in many people.
With more cases appearing, scientists discover this new virus may lurk undetected in an infected person for up to 14 days. It's a ticking time bomb for the whole world.
We're seeing now is essentially the lag time of the incubation period and the spread.
Infected cases are soon found in Thailand, Japan, South Korea, and the US. In China, the number of people infected is growing fast. Among the 291 cases in China, 198 are in Wuhan. The government in Beijing, keeping a close eye on the developing situation, becomes increasingly concerned.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has stressed that safety and health must be put first.
The government considers severe measures to contain the outbreak to its epicenter, Wuhan. Dr. Li Lanjuin is on the National Health Commission. She's convinced the only way to contain this outbreak is something that's never been attempted on this scale: quarantine.
武汉必须封城，否则的话，这个形势将会非常严峻，后果不堪设想。
We did a very simple calculation. We estimate all of this intervention program combined averted 1.5 million people being infected.
The experts aren't just thinking about people in China. A virus is no respecter of national borders.
In the past, they had to depend on ships and on slower means of transport, walking across borders to spread the disease internationally. Today, it's instantaneous. So today, outbreaks are globalized very rapidly.
We are a small global village. So if one country does not control well, then it is spread very quickly to other countries.
With 64% of cases still confined to Wuhan and the province of Hubei, the government takes a momentous decision.
The Chinese authorities have taken some pretty drastic action.
Wuhan has shut down outbound planes.
Public transport has been suspended or limited in 2 cities in Hubei province.
2 days before the Chinese New Year, Wuhan City becomes the biggest quarantine zone in the world. It's the eve of Chinese New Year, usually a day of family celebration in China. But in 2020, in the central Chinese city of Wuhan, 9 million people are in lockdown. They can't leave the city, and no one has any idea when the biggest quarantine in human history could end. It's a bold battle plan to contain the newly discovered coronavirus that has already infected 517 people in China. With flights out of Wuhan canceled, hundreds of people are flying into the city. As a military man myself, there are 2 types of people I really admire: my fellow military and the medics who look after us.
China is battling the virus on all fronts. It's flying military personnel to Wuhan. They include 450 from the People's Liberation Army.
他们来了以后呢，应该来说对我们的工作呢是一个极大的一个缓解，而且每个医疗队呢都自己承担了2个病区，每个病区呢都能够收到40到50个病人左右。
The aim of the Wuhan lockdown is to stop the virus spreading. If you can deny the virus fresh hosts, then eventually it will die out.
In this instance, the tool you've got is separation of people. If you lock down the whole city, you ask people truly to separate. And if you've got a community that will do that will accept that this is not fun, but it's necessary, you can stop an outbreak like this.
Wuhan desperately needs more isolation beds. There are only 137 in the city, and already 491 people are sick. Desperate situations demand desperate measures. China decides to build 2 new isolation hospitals from scratch in the shortest time possible. Huashinshan and Leishinshan hospitals will provide 2,500 new beds for Wuhan's infected patients. 20,000 construction workers converge on Wuhan.
在我们自己的库房里面去找那个48台，对吧？
Construction manager Yuan Shuqiang is one of them. This is a New Year holiday he'll never forget.
你置身其中的时候，你会发现这实际上是一场战争。你早一天建成，一定会有很多重症病人可以转进来得到救治。
Yuan is experienced in hospital construction, but even he is daunted by the task. it has to have special isolation features.
我们的这个负压病房呢，它会让那个病毒及时的在病区到室外这块净化掉，不会让污染源扩散。
Yuan volunteered to work here, even though he'd already planned to get married during the New Year holiday.
21号上午，我就已经向亲朋好友就是发消息，就是取消婚礼的。
Day in, day out, construction advances. Yuan and his team do 2 shifts a day, snatching a few hours sleep between shifts.
我3点到7点，7点半差不多，又睡了4个半小时。哎，真工。
Only time for a short chat with his fiancée, and he's back on site again. There's not a minute to lose. On January 25th, it's Chinese New Year. 9 million ordinary people face an unprecedented change in their lives. Every family, every community is on the front line in this battle. This is Bairuei Jing, a community in the heart of Wuhan. Community worker Wang Yaling has worked here for 8 years. Since lockdown, she and her team of volunteers have become the mainspring of the entire community. Everyone depends on them. Thanks to social media, she's got an efficient system running.
我们的叫微信楼栋长，以年轻人为主，他们就是每天在群里面帮我们收集居民代买代购的信息，发给我们各期的代购团的团长，再由团长来对接大型的商超。
Organizing the delivery of daily necessities and medicine for the whole community is essential. But the volunteers must also keep an eye out for signs of infection. If someone has a fever, Yaling will help them get to the hospital to be tested. It was at the hospital gate that Yaling herself felt horror for the first time.
那种气氛让我很压抑，感觉到了这个病毒给我的这个威胁，真的很害怕。我回来都大哭了一场。
The people of Wuhan are up for the fight, but the virus is still spreading fast. In central China, 9 million people are under lockdown in the city of Wuhan.
Once the threat coming, you can see the Chinese community, they become joint efforts against this epidemic.
China made enormous sacrifices. Really, the entire population was involved in this, and they've given us considerable time to prepare the rest of the world.
Around the world, people are sending help and good wishes to Wuhan in China.
The United Nations Children's Fund says its first batch of mask and protective suits, all weighing...
Egypt is supporting China with medical supplies and equipment. So far, a total of 40 tons of medical suits, masks, and goggles from abroad have been shipped to Wuhan by air.
One of the donations from the Japan Youth Development Association soon goes viral on Chinese social media. On the gift to Wuhan, someone wrote, "Lands apart, sky shared." A line from an ancient poem, a message of solidarity and shared humanity. Soon, many countries will have to face the virus themselves.
The virus, the epidemic, has no border. International collaboration is critical, important. We'll share the epidemic information daily with the WHO, with other countries.
What does an epidemic tell us about our shared fate as humans on this planet? It tells us that we need to work together to survive. I find in a time like this, the best of us and the worst of us come out. But if we can somehow channel our inner good person, we will manage and we will survive.
8月4号上午9点25分，第一名转运患者抵达火神山医院。
Just 10 days after work started on this brand new isolation hospital, the first patient arrives. 1,400 Army medics will run the hospital. 1,000 sick people can be cared for here. One of the doctors on the front line is Xie Hua from the PLA Northern War Zone General Hospital. She's been dealing with respiratory illnesses for over 30 years. Even before Wuhan was in lockdown, Dr. Xie and 100 of her colleagues had already volunteered to come to help. Dr. Xie has been to Wuhan before, but now it seems like a different city.
街道静静的，没有人，感觉就是悲凉。
But there's no time to dwell on that. Thousands of patients are waiting for their help.
The problem with these infections is we just don't know what to expect. Each of these viruses is different.
The teams on the front line are going into uncharted territory. Xie Hua realizes that people are very frightened by this new disease. To her, this is human nature.
因为大家可能就是说听10个喜剧，可能印象不深，一个悲剧印象就特别的深啊。新冠治好那么多，大家觉得挺正常，但是有一个去世的，大家可能就非常的紧张。
On the ground, medics are beginning to get to know the disease, now known as COVID-19. Soon they realize that a common characteristic of many viral diseases can be found in this one too. In pandemics, like the Great Flu of 1918 and the H7N9 in 2017, millions of people died because they had strong immune systems that reacted powerfully to the new virus, overproducing important chemicals like cytokines. This danger, called the cytokine storm, worries Li Lanjuan.
跟 H7N9的一样，这个一些病人也产生细胞因子风暴，就病毒感染以后，人体的免疫功能要来阻击这个病毒，导入大量的凝固剂在细胞因子分泌，造成多器官功能衰竭。
In Huashinshan Hospital, Xie Hua and her colleagues are always on the lookout in case a less severe patient suddenly deteriorates. Around 4 out of 5 people get a mild form of COVID-19, but the doctors are always keeping a close eye on the most vulnerable patients.
慢性病的啊、老年的啊、有抵抗力比较差的、肿瘤的这些人更容易给人重症。
For the moment, there is no specific medicine that can counter COVID-19. Chinese traditional medicines were used in more than 90% of cases and found effective during recovery. Fear of the unknown can damage a patient's chances.
我们也能想象出来呀，他自己躺在那里头，他会很无助的。我们这组一开始，我给我的组员设的就是管理方式，就是第一时间跟患者建立微信联系，24小时在线。
While the medics on the front line are working round the clock helping those who have fallen ill, research scientists are battling to uncover the secrets of this new coronavirus. In Beijing, at China's CDC, Tan Wenjia's team receive a stream of new samples from patients. Viruses are minute. This coronavirus is on average 100 nanometers wide. That's around 1/600th the width of a single human hair.
我们团队在这次新冠疫情的防控中，就相当于2个，一个是侦察队，我们侦察到敌人在什么地方，然后他们的火力是什么样的。另外的话呢，我们也是排雷队，就是我们通过我们的诊断试剂的推广应用，我们就可以把这些病人给找出来。
Most viruses mutate, and the mutations may enable them to spread more easily or make them more deadly to humans. Dr. Tan's team keep a watch on the new coronavirus, now named SARS-CoV-2. There's no sign yet of significant mutations. In the city, 1,439 people have so far recovered from COVID-19. But today, 1,378 new cases are also confirmed in Wuhan. There's still a long way to go on the front line. But across the city, a second emergency hospital, Leishanshan, is coming online. In China, the aim is to reduce infections.
We talk about the reproduction number, and in this case, the reproduction number was estimated to be around 2.5, 2.6. That suggests that any one individual goes on to infect a further 2 to 3 people.
The aim is to reduce that reproduction number to 0. The Chinese New Year holiday is extended. Everyone is encouraged to stay at home. Not only in Wuhan and Hubei province, but across the country, the top-level public health emergency response is being implemented to contain the outbreak.
President Xi Jinping got a close-up look at how China is fighting the disease when he visited a hospital and residential community in Beijing.
Public events are canceled to stop large numbers of people gathering in one place where the virus could easily spread. Package tours, whether within China or abroad, are also suspended. All measures to try to stop the virus in its tracks.
协调一些防护装备，然后消毒药品。
In the countryside, groups of volunteers are on the move, spreading the message to remote areas. Liu Bo is the leader of Blue Sky Rescue Team in Tongbai County, Henan Province. In normal times, the team provides mountain rescue and water rescue to people in trouble. But these are not normal times. Liu and his fellow volunteers fan out into the countryside, getting the word out to people to stay at home. Meanwhile, they help sterilize vehicles and public spaces in nearby towns and villages. Days into lockdown, and the total number of cases across China is now more than 37,000. 4,742 people have recovered. 4 out of 5 infected people have very mild symptoms, but they too must be kept isolated from their community so they don't pass on the virus. It's time for lateral thinking. Before lockdown, these were exhibition centers, stadiums, and warehouses. And today, they look like this. This former conference center is now a so-called cabin hospital for 1,500 mildly ill patients. The spread of the virus stops here. Today, nurses are taking samples for testing. Outside the hospital, there's another special feature, a truck that's at the heart of the battle to defeat the virus. Wu Qian and her team are at work inside the truck, a level 3 biosafety lab equipped to test patient samples. It's completely sealed and the pressure inside is negative, so no air and no viruses can escape. This makes life difficult for the team. The low pressure means there's minimal oxygen. It's like working at 5,000 meters. Normally, this job would be done in a hospital lab, but this conference center can't handle the samples securely. Just 12 days after lockdown, Wu Qian and her team set off in their truck from Beijing to drive 1,000 kilometers to Wuhan. The team are highly skilled field workers. Some of them went to West Africa in 2014 to fight Ebola.
我觉得对急性传染病或者这种新发传染病来说，最大特点就是我们对它一无所知。我们需要在最快速的时间内进行反应。
Wu Qian's team work round the clock. They receive samples at 10 a.m. each day and can process 200 samples every 24 hours. 3 weeks into lockdown. For the first time, there's some promising news. Though there are 3,910 confirmed new cases in Wuhan City, across the rest of China, the number of new cases falls to 718. And countrywide, 6,728 people have recovered. Containment seems to be working.
It's a testimony to the effectiveness of the Chinese authorities and also the compliance of the population that this has been successful.
If we do not have that strong action, probably the number of people died of this outbreak is more than 10,000. It's a huge saving.
Today, Wu Chen has received 124 samples. In the first 22 results, 14 patients tested negative, but they aren't taking any chances. The patients who tested negative will be tested again tonight. Only then, if the negative result is confirmed, will they be allowed to leave isolation. There is no cure for COVID-19 yet. For the scientists at China's CDC, there isn't a moment to lose. At China's CDC, researcher Huang Baoying is heading back to the lab again. This one is also Biosafety Level 3. Huang Baoying was among the first group of scientists to identify the new coronavirus. She's been in the lab every day since, convinced there is literally not a minute to lose.
如果我们能够早一点塞到有效的这个药物的话，对于病人来说，能够为他们早争取到1分钟的时间，可能后面的结果就完全不一样。
The hard work is beginning to pay off. They've worked out that the new coronavirus has a similar genetic makeup and causes similar symptoms to the virus that causes SARS. So they're trying an experimental drug that's been developed to fight SARS and Ebola on human cells. First results are encouraging, but there's a very long road still to go. More research, testing in the lab, and then clinical trials are necessary before any new drug can be licensed for use. Scientists have also discovered at least 2 varieties of the virus, adding to the complexity of their task. "2,000 kilometers north of Wuhan, one farmer was worrying about the food supply in the quarantined city. This is Jilin province in China's northeast. Farmer Sumu Xiangqi was determined to help.
看见疫情一天比一天，特别是我们在国内啊各个省市都是很多医疗队都驰援武汉，所以这样一来呢，我们当时就想到了，就是要为我们灾区做点什么。
Jilin is famous for its rice. He quickly organized a team to pack up rice for Wuhan.
所以呢，我们就加班加点的要赶这这10吨有机蛋要驰援灾区，代表了我们对武汉灾区一线工作者的一番问候。
Since lockdown, tens of thousands of medics and scientists from 19 different provinces have come to Hubei to reinforce the local medical teams. Millions of medical masks and protection suits have been sent to the front line to help those battling the virus. More than 25,000 tons of vegetables, food, and daily necessities have been sent to Wuhan. Outside Wuhan, the infection is coming under control. On February 18th, only 89 new cases are identified. But for the global team fighting the virus, another front has opened up. Rumor.
Well, the rumors of flooding, in fact, we call it an infodemic, that we're fighting on 2 fronts. We're fighting an epidemic of the virus and an infodemic of misinformation.
February 18th. There are now more than 800 infected cases in 25 countries. Accurate information and preparation become critically important for the rest of the world.
When people have accurate information, then they are less likely to panic and less likely to be afraid because they understand what's going on and they understand what they need to do to protect themselves and protect their families.
There's no question that China's bold approach to the rapid spread of this new respiratory pathogen has changed the course of what was a rapidly escalating and continues to be deadly epidemic. To the people of Wuhan, it is recognized that the world's in your debt, and when this disease finishes, hopefully we'll have a chance to thank the people of Wuhan.
There have been positive steps made, and hopefully these steps will flatten the outbreak and made it not spread out so rapidly. While countries have been becoming prepared, they're getting prepared.
Fast forward into March. The World Health Organization declares this a global pandemic.
The rest of the world will see more cases. Every country must be ready.
Many countries now face a fast-moving emergency. Some in Europe look to Wuhan's experience and try a partial lockdown to halt the spread.
It's not over for China yet by any means, but the actions they've taken seem to be working. We're now asking everybody, all governments, to not just have a plan, but put the plan into action.
Back in China, 28 days after lockdown. In Wuhan, things are improving daily. Outside Hubei province, the number of new cases is fewer than 300. Zheng Min has recovered from COVID-19. Today, the doctors from Jinyintan Hospital are paying him a visit, giving him Chinese herbal medicine to aid his full recovery. All recovered patients are required to spend another 14 days in quarantine. Zheng Min is staying with his mother, apart from the rest of his family. He'll never forget the 8 days and nights in the ward at Jinyintan Hospital. He learned how quickly the virus can take a life from us.
8天面对了3次死亡，心理压力特别大。医护人员他除了他专业的方面，他用他专业的知识来治疗我们的身体，他更细致入微地关系到我们的心理。这是对病患很积极的一个作用。
When he couldn't sleep at night, his biggest worry was his children and his parents.
那个时候心理压力特别大，半夜睡不着，偷偷地抹眼泪。
Zheng Min recovered after 8 days of treatment. Now he is practicing Baduanjin back home. It's an exercise regime that's been used for recovery in traditional Chinese medicine for 800 years. Soon, he'll be able to see his children again. Back in Bairuijing, Wang Yaling and her team of volunteers are out again for the daily food distribution. Since the beginning of the outbreak, they've identified 55 cases in the community and managed to get them to the hospital. Now, there's good news for the whole community.
我们的这个武汉市的这个首场清零战役中，率先清零的社区，这个疫情可能是我终身难忘的一个春节。我从来没发现我有这么勇敢，我有这么坚强。
跟生活拥抱。等会儿我们就兵分两路。对。
After 1 month of the city lockdown, more and more provinces across the country are seeing no new infections. And the daily increase in Wuhan has been pegged at under 500. But the virus did still take 2,663 lives in China. In many other provinces and cities, people are getting ready to go back to work. Shenzhen in southern China is the powerhouse of Chinese manufacturing. The factories here have taken a big hit with the extended holiday. BYD is a huge company which produces everything from cars to cell phones. Li Wei is one of the managers.
那在我们讨论复工复产的过程中的话，我们发现当时全国的这个口罩的一个产能，每天的话不足2000万只。
BYD's dust-free factories reached the correct safety standards, so what used to be a laptop production line now produces masks. They've built the production line in just 7 days. 10 more machines will come on stream soon. The factory can produce 5 million masks a day. They'll be shipped worldwide to help in the fight against the virus. Back in Wuhan, all the mild cases being treated at the 16 cabin hospitals have recovered. As people begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel, there's time to reflect on what they've been through.
我们正在疫苗研究的话，可以将来应用到人群里头，阻断这个病人的感染。我们正在进行的药物研究的话呢，就将来可以给这个医生的治疗提供更多的选择和应药方案。
这场疫情过后，我相信社会各层面都会对传染病这个疫情这一块会投入大量的精力，包括财力，来预防以后发生同类的疫情。
The lockdown of Wuhan proved an important first victory in the battle with the virus.
Thousands of people are involved. Every citizen played a role in this response. All of these efforts together and become a powerful to fight, to terminate this epidemic.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has vowed victory in the war against COVID-19. This comes as he pays a visit to Wuhan, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak.
But now, around the world, the battle with this devilish virus is intensifying in many countries. On every continent.
China has sent a special medical team to Italy to assist with control efforts there.
The lessons learned in Wuhan can help inform decisions being made now worldwide.
I'm really heartened by the fact that in China, they did manage to get everybody to work together as a community, and people did believe this was what needed to be done, and they have shown it can work.
Until now, the coronavirus has been found in more than 150 countries. And today, some countries are following Wuhan's strategy of containment as they battle to slow the pandemic.
夜早了，天亮了，天空和众生一同醒来了，樱花在温暖的春风中飞扬。武汉，我们在等你。